Hello there, Great Hunter here, replying on a comment made by Vicious Nogueria, sorry if I butchered your name, about a video posted of Colossus, in which I replied for having macros that's quite easily done, but the video of Colossus made it look very awkward. I'm going to show you a couple of skills, probabilities and some other macros that can actually quite help you. For example, salted earth here is a place on the ground in targeting mode. However, I have a macro built for it, in which it automatically sets it on top of the target that I'm selecting. So as you can see, I have my striking dummy here selected. And for example, I use /action with a space and in quote-unquote salted earth. Now this would actually make it again a ground targeting mode. However, going back to that mode, if I enter this behind it, it will go and place my salted earth on top of target in which is the one that I've selected. So you will, whenever you see this macro in action, it will do this. And that's just one of the skills. There is also quite several other ones. I will go out of combat in a moment. Okay, now that we are out of combat, I will show you what macros I've exactly made. There are quite a few of them, mostly for my Yu-Gi-Oh! Playing Astrologian. However, there's quite some summonables, resurrecting, crafters, and this was my test on my Black Mage for the first time with targeting. However, I have here my Salted Earth macro, in which you can see the line I've put in. The /action, you can type it out fully, but I like to keep it short, so /AC, followed by quote-unquote salted earth. Keep in mind that if it's more than one word in the name, you have to highlight it with these quotes. It isn't capital letter sensitive, so you can just type it in like you want to, and followed by a target, in which again you have to select the enemy for it. The /mycon is actually quite a fun little one. It's a /mini icon in which it depicts this, otherwise you would get the same macro button in here. In which you can see, if I delete this and press enter, it will go back just to macro. However, if I entered it back then with /mycon and then again name in quotations, if it's longer than one word, it will go back to that icon. You can also select a standard icon by just right-clicking on it, and goddammit, okay. There are quite a couple of them. However, if you have the mycon enabled, it will overlap with the current mini icon. There are a couple of ones, like here for combat crafters. There's just some figures and crystals, and you just saw here numbers. However, I don't quite need those. So, salted earth for targeting, and for my opening, whenever I go into a dungeon and somehow my grid and dark side has been getting inactive, I will just use this. You see, I've typed it out in an indirect way. This is how Cronus X depicted it. However, this can be way more simple. By just deleting this. I don't need an action. Don't need a waiting counter behind the grid actually. So let's get rid of it. However, I cannot activate two skills at once. And therefore, I activate my wait by how many seconds? 1 second, because that's all it takes for the dark side the animation to begin, and while that is in loop it will enable it to activate crit, which does also the same thing. So whenever you update or edit a macro, it will update automatically in your hotbar. So whenever I activate it, the grid and the dark side, they both activate. I particularly like to use this kind of way, just by the way my Dark Knight uses it. More like the way no Shadow of Mordor starts when you raid a castle by pointing up your sword and then forwarding, yelling for march and whatever. That's exactly what I try to do with it. However, on going now to my crafters, let's take for example my blacksmith. I particularly use a specialist for this, since I have a soul crystal of the blacksmith, which you can buy in foundation, or no wait, you can buy any. You can change it to anything for any classes. You can buy it at some so you can search up on Gamerscape. Quite easy to get. Cost you a few stones, but nothing more. But back to the macroing. You can see that I have only one macro set in here and just my other skills. That same macro is built specifically for specializations. As you can see, this has 15 lines, all actions. However, behind every action, again, anything that has more than one word needs to have quotations, otherwise it won't use that skill. If it says action without quotations and then you put in initial and then space preparation, it will only read initial. However, these quotes will make that two words as one name. But behind every line I have set up the weight counter. No, you cannot make it less than a second. It has to be full seconds, so it cannot be 2.5, 2.2 or whatever. No, it has to be full seconds. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds or whatever. However, I don't know how to activate via macros other macro numbers or certain hotbar places. That one I still need to figure out. But back to my crafter macro, you can see this is initial preparations, which of course is a specialist task. So whenever I use my level 70 quest, this does basically do quite good. Collectabilities for turn-ins are amazing. It gets me always to the max or near max, especially for Atkirak. As you can see, he usually wants to have a 900 collectability. This will get you well over 800. And with some luck about getting a good conditions or perfect conditions, you can get it easily maxed. Now let's see my summoner, if I can pop it up. No, not recommended. There it is. Sorry, been a bit of a while since I used keyboard again. Scholar, red mage, summoner. That I missed it. How embarrassing. Again, Shadow Flare is just put it in share. No, I didn't put it in share. Shadow Flare here. Again, action, name, quotations, target. and with a mini icon of the flare. We'll place it on top. Even if you target yourself and activate it, you will still do it. Then again, I also got quite a few fun commands, like for example summoning Garuda, in which case you can see it has a icon of its normal summon, Carbuncle. The AC is summon 1, you just can do in summon, and it places in party chat the following, every line you can see here. /P means /party chat. In which just if you enter it by itself, it will it will directly go to the party chat itself, and you'll be able to target that. If however you do it like /P and then say like hi, it will say it in party chat for you, but since I'm not in a party currently, it will not do it. Same goes for Titan and Ifrit. So yeah. Also one for Bahamut, just in case. And my next one, my Resurrect player, is kind of a bit more advanced. This, however, has its macro arrow turned off, in which case it says like you're not able to perform it or insufficient target. It won't pop up in your screen if you have macro arrow turned off, like you can see in this line. It will activate Swift Cast. You don't particularly have to put quotations on it. However, it's targeted to myself, so it's in these parts and me. And it waits 2 seconds for it to be able to use spells, because there's a recasting timer for whenever you activate a spell, of course. Then it will do /resurrection on target. However, if I select one, if I haven't selected it, it will go over to /use resurrect on slot 1. That's in party. If that one is not alive, then it will activate it on that person. If that person in slot 1 isn't dead, then it will switch to slot 2. If that isn't dead, go on and go on. And whenever it's selected that player, it will go up and say, well, this is what happens when when the healers does not give a shit to you, target. So it will say in chat. So if I, for example, have myself and selected and I do /T, it will say my name. So it will say behind that line that player's name, as a reference to saying it directly to him. But then the next line will say, but here I am, helping you like the teammate I am, or the teammate you need. You can change it to whatever you need to, and then finish it up. So get up and don't die again. Okay. Swift casting it and then resurrect. Summoners get that skill easily, so it doesn't matter that much. However, you can make it very fun. Maybe not so fun for other players, but that depends on how you like to play it. So if I switch over to my Astro, sorry for not having it maxed out, I'm not a fucking gaming weeb or whatever. You can see I've got quite some macros in here. Especially these ones. For the balance, attack buff, for defensive, yeah, the ball, defense, everything has a particular setting. However, since astrologians can quite as much spam however they want to, for example, if I draw my card, Control V, I draw balance. I of course have a card macro by itself. It's just a way to say so. So if I select myself and do this, I activate spell card balance on target. This spell card will increase as target's damage. And then after that line I say I end my turn. you can do pretty much quite a few things. Spreading it, party chatting it, and so on, whatsoever. Even shoutouts, like /shout, will make that in chat saying orange while directly going back to the previous chat. Copying that and whatever. You can basically create quite a few bits. Or for example, limit break. This is tank limit break that I made. Everybody can make it easily. And this is a combat limit break. For example, when I'm on a attacking class. So anything like samurai or red mage, anything that does damage or has a damage roll, will get this limit break for myself. This is just a tank party limit break, and I also should create a limit break for healers. Then again, you can activate some stuff. This, however, is kind of a failed one. I used it in the back in quite some ages ago. It uses my ninja for it to activate goat, while also in the same time activate bloodbath. Bloodbath on myself and goat on set target. However, it does not quite like to use it like this. For example, I needed to make it say something else. If you have any questions about macros, it will give you in text commands anything quite basic that you need to learn. So if I go to, let's say, targeting /targeting subcommand and whatever it's in there, toggling on off when no commands is specified. This, however, will target the nearest player to you, and here's the target that I kind of want to use. However, but yeah, that was basically my short guide. I don't know how long it takes, but that was my guide on how somewhat more advanced macroing would actually help you more than enter line for line for every command that you want to use. So this was Great Hunter, and I will see you maybe next time. Bye!